Outlander Season 6 theories that will change everything for fans. Outlander has been one of the most unique TV shows to come out in recent years, and it completed its 5th season back in 2020. While Season 6 has been confirmed for a while, fans were left waiting as filming and production couldn't complete in time due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In this video, we'll be going through some of the craziest fan theories for Season 6 that'll change everything for the fans. Claire's uncle. Time travel is one of the main themes of the show, but one of Claire's ancestors might have just exposed the real truth behind time travel on the show. If you remember back in Season 1, we meet Claire's uncle. Her uncle's role in the first season wasn't really anything that has impacted the series greatly over the years, but one Reddit user believed that it may be brought up again in Season 6. The user believed that it may have been Claire's uncle and father that had the gene which gives Claire the powers to travel through time. It may have been genetically passed on to her. This theory is further strengthened by the fact that Brianna, Claire's daughter, also possesses the ability to travel through time as she inherited it from her mother. We don't really know much about Claire's past since her parents were killed in a car crash when she was just 5 years old, and the show hasn't really taken a very in-depth look into it before. Believe it or not, Claire's uncle was one of the only family members we actually got to see on the show. We may get to see a lot more of Claire's family in Season 6, although the Reddit user didn't exactly mention why it would be brought up again in Season 6 when it wasn't brought up for the past 4 seasons. Brianna and Roger go back to their time. In Season 5, we saw Brianna, Claire's daughter, give birth to a daughter named Mandy with her husband Roger. However, Mandy is born with a heart defect that can only be treated in the 20th century. We see Claire mention that Brianna has to go back to the 20th century if she wants to save her daughter. We see Brianna attempt to use her powers to reach the 20th century, but it ends up failing. Fans are now theorizing that they could try to reach the 20th century in Season 6, but with the limited number of episodes this season, it would be almost impossible to get a story that's compelling out of this subplot. It's been a while since we've seen the 20th century on the show, and it would be an exciting change in pace for the show overall. Book spoiler alert. The Mackenzies actually do end up leaving the Ridge and going back to the future at the end of the book, but it doesn't really go into much detail about what happened before that. In the epilogue, they're shown living in Jamie's house in Lollybrook in the 1980s with 2 healthy, unnamed children. If the show decides to follow the book, it'll be interesting to see if Mandy is one of those children or if she actually passes away and they have more children together. Another theory is that the show could also skip over Bree and Roger's escapades and jump straight to their life in Lollybrook, which is where they could potentially find the letters that Claire had written for them in the past. Tom Christie falling in love with Claire. There have been some hints in the 5th season of Outlander that have made fans think that Season 6 might be quite different from the books. The character of Tom Christie falls in love with Claire, although he doesn't make it obvious, and we didn't even know that he was in love with Claire until he heard Jamie mention it in his internal monologue. The book doesn't really ever mention this love triangle, and it's interesting to see the show use narration as a way to further the plot, something we do see in the books a lot, but not nearly enough in the show. Tom being in love with Claire, however, is a major deviation from the books, and it may potentially take the show in an entirely new direction. Fans are left wondering whether Tom will make his feelings known to Claire and Jamie, or whether he'll keep his feelings a secret. All of the hints seem to point towards the latter, but it'll be interesting to see where they take the story from here. Keep in mind, there were hints of Tom's feelings towards Claire throughout the novels, but they were never obvious, nor were they influential in the plot. However, in the show, they made it glaringly obvious. If Claire does come to know about Tom's feelings towards her, which is likely considering how much they emphasize his feelings, and fans are all excited to see how Claire would even react to his feelings. Would she reciprocate them, or will she just want to distance herself? Guess all these questions will just have to wait until Season 6. Alan's confession. Some fans are predicting that Season 6 will end on a really dark note, and there really can't be a darker note than Alan's confession. The Christie storyline has been one of the craziest things we've seen on the show so far, and one of the darkest things about the story has been the sexual relation between Alan and his half-sister, whom he impregnated and then proceeded to murder to conceal the evidence. A leading theory is that Alan will confess all of it to Claire after he returns to the Ridge, but young Ian would overhear his confession, become enraged, and shoot Alan right there. The show hasn't shied away from such dark endings to seasons in the past, but we're not sure if they'd want to end another season on such a dark note. Still, Alan's actions are something that will have to be addressed eventually, and Season 6 might just be the perfect time to do it. John Grey and William return to the colonies. Another way in which the show deviated from the books is when Lord John Grey goes to England in Season 5. One of the leading theories as to why they did that is they wanted to reintroduce his son William in a surprising way. In one of the books, Brianna actually meets William before she eventually leaves to go back to her own time. Brianna is William's half-sister and Claire's mother. One theory about John Grey being in England is that the show might have him and Claire interact when she gets arrested. That would certainly be an interesting twist, and fans have been clamoring for a reunion between the 2 former lovers. Potential ending. time. Out of the 10 Outlander books in total, 2 of them still haven't been released. This means that we don't really know what's going to happen at the end of the show, and this opens up a lot of speculation for it. However, if you look back at an interview by the writer of the novel series, Diana Gabaldon, from 2015, we may have gotten a hint of what's to come. She mentioned that she thinks the show will end in around 1800s Scotland. Currently, the main characters live in 1800s America, and it would be interesting to see how the main characters make their way back to Scotland and what would cause them to pick that specific timeline. The thing is, Diana didn't really mention anything beyond the ending in 1800s Scotland, so we might never know what's actually going to happen until it actually airs. Since the show is going to have 7 seasons in total instead of 10 like the novels, it may deviate from the novel quite a bit towards the end. Perhaps, as we saw in other shows such as Game of Thrones, the showrunners could come up with their own original story for the last 2 seasons, but surely won't make a lot of fans happy. When does season 6 come out? Thanks to the delays that were caused by the COVID-19 pandemic, we won't be seeing season 6 until at least 2022. As for when in 2022, we don't really know. On top of that, season 6 will only have 8 episodes, which means that a lot of subplots might just get lost due to the limitations, or they'll be further delayed to season 7. Filming for season 6 finally finished earlier this year, but the show might still have some production delays since the pandemic is far from over in both the US and Scotland. However, quantity doesn't always mean quality. As long as they don't try to jam too much content into 8 episodes, this season should turn out pretty well. As for season 7, that will have 16 episodes, and it's set to be the final season of the whole show. We should expect a lot of storylines that we left in season 5 to be completely ignored in season 6, only to be brought back in season 7. It'll also be interesting to see how the show will handle the end, since it's widely expected to be very different from how the novel will handle it. That's a wrap for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.